Life doesn't beat you up, only when you're down. We had everything: love, careers, and a happy marriage. It seemed like I had nothing to worry about in this world. Well, that was then, and now everything is different. It's been a Buddha month since Tony first accused me of being a dirty, cheating bastard. It came as a real shock to me because I don't even look at other women. I have everything I ever wanted or needed right here at home. Obviously, someone is lying to my wife, but she won't tell me who it is, no matter how hard I tried. To explain to Tony, she wouldn't listen. Ich know how stubborn she can be, but this time it's not about what color to paint the house. We don't usually fight. Ich just let her vent or give in, but not this time. I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do. Today, I'm going to get to the bottom of this, no matter what it takes. Please, can you step away? I'm going to be late for my meeting. Of course I'll step away. Just tell me who told you this nonsense. I don't know what you're talking about, please. I'm already late. You know how important this meeting is to me. It could mean a long-awaited promotion. Is that more important than a man? I'll sit here in front of this damn door until you tell me who told you I'm cheating on you. Why? So, you can go and beat him up, she hissed. Yes, quite possibly. Listen, I've told you 1,000 times that I don't have another woman, but you'd rather believe Sumi Nels. That's why I'm not leaving until you tell me you're acting like awkward and it doesn't suit you. Now, will you leave? No, I won't leave until you tell me. This isn't over until we get to the bottom of it. You've been treating me like for a month, and I'm tired of it. Tell me who she is, Andiel. Get out of your life. Fine, if that's what you want. It was Jane. She saw you and that woman at Mindy's with your hands on her ass. Are you happy? No? Now get out of my way. I'll do better than that. I'll get out of your life. I left the bedroom and went to Thegridge to give my wife a chance to leave her damn important meeting. I should have known it was that Jane Onef, Tony's friends. She couldn't keep aiming, so she probably won't rest until she destroys our marriage too. Tony, Andy, Bill have been happily married for 5 years. It seems like we only argue when the word divorce comes up. In conversation, I can't explain why she annoys me so much. She's just one of those people I didn't like from the start. Tony seems to think Jane is perfect, so she can have him. My wife can be very stubborn, and I'm the first to admit that I'm not much better in that regard. She's the best friend I've ever had, which is why it's so hard to leave her. My patience is running out, and I love her too much to stay and keep fighting. As soon as Stani left the house, I started packing all my things into the car. She doesn't trust me anymore, and I'm not going to fight it. I was accused, tried, and convicted without being given a chanchetto, explained that I was truly innocent. It seemed like it didn't matter that he wasn't even at that trendy bar, Mindy's. Hell, I don't even drink that often, and when I do, it's not at places. Like that, an hour later, I left home for good. Earlier that day, I had rented a room. Realizing that I'd had enough of all the nonsense, Tony had been pulling over the last month. If she chose to believe Jane's word about something that never happened, then so be it. I had talked a duntle, I was blue in the face, but it didn't help. On Monday morning, I was sitting in Ralph's office accepting a job offer I had turned down to Montpellier. Tony didn't want to move so far away from her family. And now there was nothing. It was the best job with real career prospects, 12,200 meters from the home that had ons been mine. Sign me up. I can start on Thursday. About 200 miles from my new life in Phoenix. My cell phone rang. It had told Tony, wondering where I'd been forth. Last 2 days. This is Bill. Bill, where are you? Where were you when I got them? Are you okay? She sounded concerned. Why don't you ask Jane? She seems to know everything about my life. Yeah, I wouldn't believe you. Bill, can't you just answer me? Don't be an idiot. What's the matter, Tony? You don't like it when you don't get what you want. I've been trying to talk to you for over a month now. I'm tired of talking. It turned off my phone and just drove away. I'm probably making the biggest mistake of my life by leaving Tony. I love her with all my heart. I just can't imagine life the way it was before. It's not good for her or for me. She refused to talk about our relationship, and I knew that nothing would change on its own. I bought a new phone and asked my news secretary not to put any calls from my wife through. She didn't know what to think of her new boss. I must have seemed like a complete idiot to her. I briefly told her that we were getting divorced, and she nodded. Expressing her understanding, I started working and put all my energy into it. I had no other life to worry about. Now it was just me. I contacted a lawyer to start divorce proceedings, told him all the details, and said I just wanted to get it over with. I really just wanted to move on. 2 weeks passed and my lawyer led me. He said that Tony wouldn't agree to a divorce without talking first. Well, what was there to talk about? I didn't see the point in talking to her now. Sharefist to talk to me before I left. Ear-fused and told him to do whatever he had to do. Let her take everything if she wanted it. I knew he wouldn't agree. A shark never shows that it's weaker than the other fish in the tank. At that moment, the timing of the divorce didn't matter much to me. I had no personal life and didn't need another woman's probables. If Tony wanted to fight, let her fight. Maybe she'd feel the same way I did when I tried to talk her into saving our marriage. I missed her, but I didn't allow myself to wallow in self-pity. I can't say that Jane's visit is the last thing I expected, but I can't say that it was on par with meeting the abominable snowman or being abducted by aliens. She showed up at my door on Saturday morning as I was getting ready for work. Well, Jane, this is a surprise. You came back to stab me in the back again, or rub salt in the wounds I already have. You think I deserve it. Oh no, Jane, you didn't even deserve to breathe the same air as other people. You're not even an apathetic excuse for a human being. Now get out of my sight. You've ruined my life enough. Bill, give me a minute. I want to apologize. I drove all night to make things right. Get out, Jane, I said, pushing her away. I got in my car and drove to the office. How brazen off that girl. She must have really thought I would believe her lies. Jane was a stunningly beautiful woman with a personality like tofu. I was so angry that I couldn't concentrate on anything. And the silence in the office on Saturdays usually allowed me to finish tins of paperwork. At noon, I gave up and went to the store to buy a few things before heading home. Well, Shua's still sitting on my doorstep. I already told you that you're not welcome here. Yes, Bill, I understand, but I need to talk to you. Bill, I really need to use the bathroom. Can I come in for a minute, please? Damn, sometimes I just don't understand I do what I do, but I let her in. She ran to the bathroom and I took the groceries to the kitchen and started putting them away. Maybe it would be easier to just get it over with and then leave me alone. A few minutes later she came back, looking very left. Jane, just say what you need and leave. Bill, I know you don't think very highly of me. I also know that I waste one who convinced Tony that you were cheating on her. I'm sorry Tony lost you, but I don't regret what I did. She said this as she moved closer and unbuttoned her blouse. Stop it, Jane. I raised my hand to stop her from coming closer, but she kept moving toward me, and my hand ended up on her chest. Her hands wrapped around my wrist, holding my hand in place. I want you, Bill. I've wanted you since the first time I saw you. I just want to be with you. No? Stop it, Jane. It'll never happen. Why, Bill? You're forgetting a couple of things, Jane. I can't. Damn it. Look, A2. I love Tony, not you. Why, Bill? Can't you just tell me what's wrong with me? What does Tony have that isn't? Tears streamed down her cheeks. You're not serious? Jane, you real I didn't know. No, damn. I'll have to add stupidity to the list of your problems. Jane, to put it bluntly, you're a look what you did to Tony and she was her friend. She supported you when no one else would. She trusted you. Look what you did to her. That wasn't love. That was greed. You really need to see a psychiatrist. You need help. But Bill, I love you. I did it for you. For us. Can't you see that Tony never you the way I do? Enough, Jane. We're going around in I just experienced it that Jane was so used to getting her way that she never considered any O'Neill's opinion. All she cared about was what she wanted. I've never met any Ines so self-absorbed, and I hope I never Dogan. Things were going well at work. I had been there for 6 months, and the extra time I put in was paying off. I was offered a position as executive vice president. The only downside was that I would have to return to the head office where I had worked before. I hadn't spoken to Tony except through my lawyer. The offers made to my lawyer were so ridiculous that we made no progress in the divorce case. I think when I get back, I'll have to sort things out. Even IFIT means talking to her. A couple off weeks later, I moved and settled into menu job within a month. It's funny how the higher you climb the career ladder and the more you get paid, the less work you have. I spent a few days looking for a place to live and settled on an apartment not far from the office. It really didn't need a big house. It madam. Think back to how Tony and I used to dream about the day when we could afford to move out of the city. We always dreamed of buying a house in the country and having 2 children. Now, those hopes and dreams of a young couple in love seemed unattainable. To me, I felt like an old man preparing for retirement, not a young guy at the top of his career. He was surprised when Tony's mother, Ruth, called me. I hadn't heard from her in a long time. Not since we broke up, probably on her last birthday. We get along pretty well, so this compromised to be interesting. Ruth, it's good to hear from you. It's been a long time. How are you? I'm fine, Bill wanted to ask you what you told Tony. She's acting crazy, and we can't get through to her. Ruth, I haven't spoken to Tony in over 6 months. I only got back to town 2 weeks ago. Wait, Watty, you mean only? Where have you been? Tony thought I was having an affair. Ruth, one of her friends told her she saw me with another woman, and she didn't believe me when I said it wasn't true. So I left her about 7 months ago. I got a job in an office in Phoenix for a while, and I just got back to town. My God, she told us you were going away for a few weeks. She didn't say anything about you leaving, Ruth. Why didn't she tell you? She talks to you on the phone almost every day. Bill, you haven't talked to her at all. I'm sorry. Ruth only through lawyers. But she doesn't want to agree to a divorce. Divorce, Bill. You don't know, do you? No, how could you if you haven't talked to her? My God, Ruth, can you include me in the conversation? Or do you need to be alone? Bill, are you sitting down? What's going on, Ruth? What happened? Tony's pregnant? What? How? When? Bill, come down? She's 8 months along. What? Duetto? My God, I didn't know. My God, Watty, I do. 8 months. She knew she was pregnant when we were fighting. Does that change anything? She believed Jane over me. I don't understand what Chusai had at that moment. I don't know if I can just forgive her, damn. What am I thinking? Maybe she doesn't want me back. Sometimes I'm such a selfish jerk. We both need to make a decision. I left work early and told my secretary I might not be back until the end of the week. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew I needed to see Tony as soon as possible. We had both clearly made mistakes that had made the situation worse, and we needed to see it through, whether well liked it or not. Tony was due to return home in 8 months, and given that the deadline was approaching, I doubted she was still working. The house looked the same as I thought when I left, still in need of repair, and the screen door needed replacing. I still didn't know what to say to her when I rang the doorbell. I stood there waiting, realizing that I was doing this for the first time in my life. I felt like I didn't belong there anymore. Oh my God, I can't breathe, was all she managed to say before she collapsed on the floor, unconscious. Tony looked worse than I had ever seen her. No makeup, her hair was a mess. She probably hadn't washed in a long time. I rushed to the phone and called an ambulance, asking them to hurry. I held Tony in my arms for the first time in 6 months, and she didn't even know I wasted her. It seemed like forever while we worked together, waiting for the ambulance to arrive. I kissed her forehead and told her everything would be okay. On the way to the hospital, I called her mother to tell her what had happened. They lived 50 miles away, but Ruth said they were on their way. The nurses made me wait outside in the emergency room, and I went to the desk to fill out the paperwork. Soon, her mother and father arrived, and we went to the waiting room. I saw her father looking at me and felt like a prisoner awaiting sentencing. We sat in silence, waiting for news about Tony's condition, and every time Sumion walked by, I looked at them hopefully. The tension was almost unbearable, and I sat with my head in my hands. Don, Tony's father, brought me a cup of coffee and sat down next to me. He didn't speak, but we both felt the tension between us ease. After what seemed like an eternity, the doctor finally arrived. Tony was in a condition known as preeclampsia. Her blood pressure had skyrocketed, and the added stress of my presence had caused her to lose consciousness. The condition was serious for both her and the baby Anthony. Only way to stop it was to deliver its baby. Tony had an emergency section, and was unconscious, but regaining consciousness. The baby was in intensive care, and since he was premature, it was too early to say anything about his condition. Yes, I had a daughter. It was some consolation, but the threat still hung over my head. It looked like Tony was going to be okay, but the baby's condition was still uncertain at that point, and I was worried. But what about Tony and me? Would we be able to find a way to heal old wounds? Or was it over between us? I hadn't spoken to her yet, and I really hadn't had time to sort out my feelings. I sat and waited for Tony to rest a little so we could talk. Now things weren't much easier, but the focus had shifted. I was no longer worried about her health, but about whether we had a future. With the fact that we now had done our life to take care of change anything, I knew Tony would be a good mother, and I would certainly try to better for my daughter, but could we do this as a family? Tony always wanted children. She had brothers and sisters. I was an only child and used to be alone. That's why it was so easy for me to walk away from her a few months ago. It wasn't that I didn't love her or didn't want to fight for her. I just didn't know how to do it without hurting her. I had never seen love and fighting go together. It was a strange discovery thought brought me to tears. Now I understood that Tony could be angry with him and still stay with me, which is why she was so shaken by my departure, but Estelle didn't know why she hadn't told me about her child. Damn, if I had talked to her, she would have told me. I'm on a diet. That's the last thing I remembered Tony saying to me. Don't be a jerk. If known was to blame for all this, it was Jane. Jane baited the hook, Tony took bait, and I got caught, plucked and forayed. It was late when the nurse came. Tony wanted to see me. Now Thatch was awake. I went to her room, not knowing what to expect. Bill, it reality's you. I thought I was dreaming, she whispered weakly. Are you feeling okay now? I asked, holding her hand. I didn't want to rush things, so I decided to go with the flow and see how she reacted to my visit. I'm very tired right now, but the doctors say I'll be fine. Bill, I'm sorry I didn't belly a vu. I don't blame you for leaving. I understand what AI was. I know that an apology isn't enough. After the way I behaved, I put my finger to her lips. Call a truce for now. I have so much to tell you, but first we need to make sure our little girl is okay. I hugged her as tightly as I could, considering her condition. I felt tears running down our cheeks and mixing together, dripping onto my chin. We clung to each other as if our lives depended on it, and in a way, they did. I hadn't felt this way in a very long time. Ruth and Dawn stood in the doorway, smiling at each other. Not wanting to break the moment, I whispered to Tony that we had visitors and wiped the tears from her face. We talked for a while, but luckily they left after a few minutes. I sat down next to Tony HOAs, sleeping peacefully. The next morning, a cozy silence reigned, and we were happy to be together with out-of-court conversations, trying to entertain each other. At least that is until the new important woman in my life entered the room. Little Donna, named after Tony's father, entered our lives with cries and demands to be fed. I watched as Donna took Tony's breast into her mouth for the first time. Had missed every stage of her birth excepting Sion. I knew that my anger and pride had robbed me of many special moments. But now I was witnessing something special and was determined not to miss anything in her life if I could help it. Words cannot describe the emotions of family experiences at such an intimate. Yes, I said family. Tony and I had a lot of work to do to fix our mistakes, but we were still a family. I hadn't talked to her about us yet, but her look told me a lot. Her look told Methana had all the answers. Jane had created tension in our marriage. We had communication problems, and we were too stubborn to talk about it. If Tony had trusted me, there would have been no problems, and if I hadn't run away, we would have worked things out. Tony finally realized that Jane was jealous of her and broke up with her. I spent all my time in the hospital until Tony was discharged a few days later. Donna remained under observation. Booch was also discharged a few days later. I don't want to go into the details of our reconciliation because there's not much to tell. We both realized that we had acted irresponsibly and that we were to blame for what had happened. Neither of us stopped loving the other and we both let the situation get out of hand. My biggest regret is that I wasn't there for Tony when she really Needed me and she regrets not trusting me. Jane's name is no longer mentioned. We have Pudel that behind us and are looking forward to the birth of our son in a few months. In the few months that we were separated by someone else's jealousy and greed, we grew up a lot. I never fix its screen on the front door, but before selling the house, we painted it Thekla Tony wanted. Now we're living our dream in the countryside, but I'll never stop looking back. A happy life can be turned upside down when you least expect it. I no longer take what I have for granted because it almost cost me everything.